What about any kind of military hardware, weapons, protective equipment? Is there anything of that nature that's more available?
No, we're not considering that at the moment. I think the time to train people up on equipment is obviously past, and
right.
The decision that we've taken not to put troops on the ground in the Ukraine obviously stands, and we've been very consistent in relation to that decision from day one.
Okay, we've seen sanctions toughened from the US, from the UK overnight. Will Australia have to toughen our sanctions further?
Well, we've already made significant announcements, and you'll see more. The Prime Minister's determined to make sure that we work as closely as possible with our allies. We're doing that, and we're in lockstep with them and with many other countries beyond our traditional allies in terms of those sanctions and making sure that President Putin and those surrounding him know that there's a very significant, at least economic price to pay.
I don't know if we can, but can Australia pause Russia from accessing the SWIFT payment system? Is there potential around there as well?
I've heard that suggestion made, and no doubt people will be looking at that option, and maybe there are other significant steps that can be taken. I noticed that President Biden has made some comments only a few minutes ago. So I think you will see an escalation in the world's response in the way in which we impose those sanctions, and looking at ways in which they can be, meaningful, and that there is a significant price that's being paid that makes President Putin think twice about what he's doing.
Should we stop buying Russian oil and gas?
Well, Peter, we should work with the world community, and we should impose sanctions that are going to inflict pain on Putin's administration. That's what we should do. We should, generally the idea of imposing these sanctions is that they don't cause grief for, the country imposing the sanctions. It's against the dictator, against the autocrat, and the world really has stepped up. More obviously needs to be done and will be done by countries like Australia. But as I say, there's one country in the world that hasn't condemned President Xi, and that is China. And there's a great burden on China at the moment, on the Chinese government to step up and to exert pressure on President Putin.
I will ask you about Xi in a second, but just back to Putin. Do you think what's your intelligence suggesting about his plans beyond Ukraine if he is left unchecked? Do you believe that he would move towards other countries as well?
Well, it's not my assessment that he would have an incursion into a NATO country, for example, because that's a very different fight for him than what he's going to experience in the Ukraine, where there will be some civil resistance, there will be some movements, some underground movements, and there will be some urban conflict, and he would have factored all of that in. But we don't assess that he's planning on moving further than that. But he's unpredictable, and he's a brutal person, and we should watch very closely what his next steps will be.